Flipside, here we are.
Here we are.
With my friend Russell Brown.
That's good.
What a treat, man.
It's good to be here.
Oh, so great to have you. Thanks for leading us today. Loved it.
I love doing it, so thanks for letting me do it.
Awesome. It's
and
awesome.
Thanks for sharing your words today.
Hey, happy to share.
I agree with your assessment that it is not as fun a sermon as
It's
not
Facts.
an enjoyable
right,
experience
exactly. He's like,
per
oh,
se,
thank you so much. Right.
which is a great thing to know and to be aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, do you want to answer some questions?
Sure. Let's do the people's questions, and then we can do random banter. We can close out maybe a little NFL talk.
Yes. Oh, perfect. Sounds good. Oh, that's right. Playoff Sunday. All right. Question 1. If my pay is inconsistent, Eric, is giving randomly as I have money not okay?
Well, if you give when you get paid, it's not random.
Right.
So that's what I would say. I would say, of course, if you get paid, the point is when you get paid, not like how often you get paid. Of course, there are people like real estate agents and whatever. I don't know what. I just think of real estate agents, right? They might have like no income for 3 months, and then they might have. So the point is that you decide when you get money to give a percentage first.
Now, what about is it okay to not give when my needs are higher and then give only when I'm in abundance, or is it,
Yeah, I would say that to be generous is to give first the percentage that you've felt the Lord has called you to give. And that living within our needs and all of those things is part of the challenge.
Right.
I heard somebody talk about one time about the fact that question goes to, am I content with what God's given me? And doesn't He give us all different?
Yeah.
And there's no fair, right? There is no fair. And I have seen very poor people be very content and very wealthy people be very discontent.
Yes.
And it is not a one-to-one correlation.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's great.
That's a good
It's
point.
a great question. Hopefully I didn't make anybody feel guilty or condemned because you get paid inconsistently.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Question 2. I want to give more consistently, but my spouse is not interested in giving a percentage or regularly because of our needs. Do you have advice on how I can convince her that we should?
Okay, let me just say, first of all the empathy in the world. I think one of the most difficult challenges is the spouse, that relationship. So, couple different ways I've heard people handle this. Number 1, definitely be prayerful. Yeah. And I don't mean that flippantly. I mean sometimes we can, and then I'm going to let you answer this next. So I'll go first. Be prayerful. Number 2, it's tough to talk about, right? What can you agree on financially? Can you agree on controlling spending? Can you agree on savings goals? Can you engage with your spouse on what their fears are? Sometimes just I don't know how to say this otherwise. Sometimes it's spiritual maturity. Sometimes it's somebody grew up with great lack, and there's this fear. There's this, there'll never be enough. And it's not really about how much money we have. It's about a deeper, like a counseling sort of work it out. So those conversations. Yeah. Is it doing, if this is a family that has lots of wealth,
right?
Then I think you could tackle it from a perspective of, hey, we have enough. I would like to begin to give this. If it's a family that doesn't have very little, please do Financial Peace University.
Right.
And then I would want you to in those conversations, I think you can feel good about doing what you can agree to together. Don't be deceitful. Don't make your spouse feel condemned. And that you may want to give more and think you have the ability to give more, and for this season not give more because of honoring your spouse. And then last thing, and I'll throw it to you, Russell. The last thing I would say is there something you can do without and be generous with that money? So in your marriage, is there something that you get to spend money on? You know, like a trip that you get to take, or a kind of car you get to buy. Is there a way you can do less and give more out of something that she'd be like, well, yeah, that's fine if you want to, whatever.
Yep.
Because what you have to do is guard your heart.
Yeah.
And man, in that situation, isn't it tempting to think that the issue is in her
Right.
heart or his heart, when in reality, so how can I guard my heart? How can I be more generous
Right.
with what I have?
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's just a limit with our spouses. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that last point is the big advice I was going to say. I mean, this question goes well beyond just money. I mean, when you're walking with Jesus with another person, as you do in marriage, this friction is going to happen in all the areas, not just money.
Great
It's
point.
going to happen. I mean, in raising kids, in how you serve, I mean, even as small a thing as how do you structure your prayer time with the Lord or your quiet time, and maybe there's friction there. So this question goes well beyond money. So I just want to say I feel you, whoever asked that, and I echo that same point. Can you maybe you guys go out to eat, and maybe you say, hey, I'm going to make something at home, so I can my $10 that was going to go towards that meal, I can then give.
Right.
And or maybe you can skip that fishing trip that you really wanted to do, that you can personally give and lead by example through that. And that's
good.
tough to do.
It's good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out to eat with my spouse and
Sure.
eat at home and then sit there like
Sure.
just in case somebody.
Sure. That might be.
That's not what you were saying.
That might
either.
be a bit pretentious.
But sometimes, yeah.
But maybe there are ways you can.
No,
cut
the
back.
fishing trip. And in every family's different.
Right.
But again, the point is, Jesus, how do I get that idol out of my heart? And I mean, as I've been wrestling with it this week, it's like, okay, Lord, like, am I open to you? Like, because it's so easy to think I'm finished, when in reality, that's his point. It's deceitful.
Yeah.
Wealth is always coming at us.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah. What's the third one here?
The third question is: some people call themselves to be Christian. They do everything a good Christian does, but they don't know how to forgive for little human error or disagreement for a long time now. Can they continue to call themselves Christian? And then there's a verse here, a reference: be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. That's Ephesians 4:32.
So if the question is, can someone continue to call themselves a Christian? My answer to that would be a simple yes, because I make it my practice. I would encourage all of us to not be people who judge another person's salvation. We all stumble. We all have places in our lives where things are more difficult. And so it sounds like in this person's life, maybe they have a hard time forgiving little offenses. I hear some arrogance there. I think of I remember meditated recently. I think it's Luke 18 when Jesus says, "To those who were convinced of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray." And so I would say yes. They don't call them not a Christian. Okay, number one.
Right.
And number two, gosh, you're going to have to be guard on bitterness on your own heart, and then maybe there are going to be some difficult conversations. If this is a marriage relationship, maybe it's a counselor. Right. If it's a friendship, maybe it's a third-party friend to come alongside, because clearly there's some hurt here.
Right.
That I don't want to dismiss the pain.
Right.
But judging someone's salvation is not going to help you feel better.
Yeah, that's not a path for righteousness for yourself when you compare yourself to other people. If you have somebody specific in mind, whoever asked that, how can you help them as opposed to deciding whether or not you can call them a Christian? Is there a way that you can encourage them, that you can help them and challenge them to, as you say, do everything that a good Christian would do? However you're interpreting that phrase, So is there a way you can encourage them?
Yeah, and we can reach out here. We have counselors available. We have people who can meet with you pastorally to work on this. Staff people who could do that.
Right.
I also sense maybe there could be some resentment. If there's some if this is you've probably been hurt, and oftentimes when we've been hurt, if we have a hard time dealing with the hurt, we fall into resentment.
Yeah.
Which again, Celebrate Recovery is a phenomenal resource for dealing with the sort of internal things that cause us to be resentful towards others. So that would also be maybe a resource there.
Cool.
You want to do a discount double check to see if we got a fourth question there? And if not, then we can do random.
I don't see a question.
Great,
but
perfect.
But I have a question.
Oh, great. You got a question.
Can I
Yeah,
ask you
let's
a
do
question?
it. Let's do it.
As I was listening to your sermon, it was brought to my mind, or I kind of thought about how would you counsel someone, Eric, who is thinking about pursuing less money for the specific reason of kind of removing the temptation of having a lot of money, given kind of the context of what you're saying. I know you said Jesus, the goal for Jesus isn't to get the money out of your pocket, it's to get the idol out of your life.
Right.
But if somebody decided that it was ultimately better for them, given the deceitfulness of money and the ever-present battle that we fight against it, to simply just pursue less money with the intention of removing that temptation from their life, how would you counsel that?
I probably wouldn't counsel against it. Here's some questions I would ask. I would say, first of all, less doesn't equal money being less deceitful. So I would hate, initially, my first thought is, I don't want to poo-poo if that's how God's leading you, but the idea of having less means I won't be as susceptible. That's one of the things that way wealth is deceitful. We think it's about how much we have.
Right.
It's not. It's always about our heart.
Right.
I know very wealthy people who struggle with the deceitfulness of wealth, and I know people with very little, including myself, years ago, who struggled with the deceitfulness of wealth. So I would want to say to this person, you're not going to have to fight less.
It's not going to solve your problem.
It's not going to solve. Now, that doesn't mean that God doesn't call people to that, but I don't think he does it in order to minimize the deceitfulness of wealth.
Sure.
John Wesley, who founded the Methodist Church, he's famous for saying, make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. This is like a Wesleyism. So I would say, if your goal for making less is to not have to deal with money, it doesn't work like that. So some people I know people who've said they're just going to cap their lifestyle.
Right. I'm only ever going to spend I'm
gonna cap my lifestyle at X, and whether they work, I don't know, whether they work in a, cost of living adjustment or whatever, and then they just give the rest away. I think that's great. Rick Warren from Saddleback is famous for, living on 10%, giving 90%. It's like, wow. Now I have no idea how much Rick Warren made, but let's just say he was making $5 million a year from Purpose-Driven Life. It's great. It's not that impressive to me.
Right.
Now, I've also never had $5 million, so it's easier for me. Like, well, if I had $5 million, I could live on $500,000. Right. Well, I don't know what you can do with $5 million that you can. I don't. So again, I don't know. All I know is what I have and what I've been given.
Right.
But I would say to that person, you're not going to get rid of it.
I like that.
You're still going to have to wrestle.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Man, wise words from a wise man.
Well, they're words. All right. So, Russell.
Yes.
As a Dallas Cowboys fan,
Ouch.
Predictable outcome last week.
It's too soon.
I watched it with Amrine. I went over to Amrine's to watch the game, and I pretended the whole time. Trav, did I not? I pretended the whole time that I was rooting for the Cowboys.
Oh.
I mean, I did. I rooted for the Cowboys. I made when Pollard got hurt. I made the proper.
Was tough.
Because I was eating his chicken wings and drinking his tequila. So he was hosting me. So I entered into fully his suffering, even though internally I was like,
you can't enter fully into his suffering unless you know the pain.
That's true. I didn't enter something.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a respectable guest, and
yes.
I think that he wasn't feeling like I was secretly rooting against him.
That's good, and that's a great guest. You take a lesson, people.
But predictable outcome. Come on,
it's true. There is something wrong with the organization. And I don't know what it is, but it's not a good. We're not in a good spot.
So, okay.
But you know what? Now the Mavericks. Now I'm full on Dallas Mavericks, baby. Come on, Luka's doing great.
Luka's doing great. Okay, so let's talk about today. We got the early game.
Yes, we do.
Right? Cincy at Kansas City.
No, isn't the early game Niners Eagles?
I don't know.
I think Niners Eagles is the early game, and then
But, I will believe you.
But
either way, let's just go with the AFC first.
Okay, AFC
Cincy
first.
at Kansas City.
I'm on the Chiefs.
You're on the Chiefs.
I'm on the Chiefs, and here's a prediction.
Okay, great. Let's make predictions. We did this last week.
I don't think it's going to be the close game that everybody wants it
Predicting
to be.
a blowout.
Nah, blowout. Not a blowout. But I think the Chiefs will be in control of the game.
Okay.
And I think they will win. I think it will not be in doubt to the last second. I think it'll be, okay, Chiefs have got this. That's out on a limb.
Hey,
That's a limb.
I want to be a contrarian just so that we could cut this up later and I could
And
like
you'd
we
win.
didn't
Yeah,
do it, but
yeah.
we did this with Jason and he picked wrong both times. We
Right. I
was
was 2-0 last week.
I was 2-0 last week.
And I plan on being 2-0 this week.
But I'm with you. I feel the same way.
Okay.
I feel like Kansas City has shored up a lot of their weaknesses
Yeah.
from last year.
The 2-0 lineman missing from Cincy's line is, I think,
gonna
going to
be
the difference.
huge.
Is going to be the difference in the game. Chris Jones is going to have.
I think Mahomes is gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna shoot that thing up enough cortisone, tape it tight enough.
Big time.
Saw him this week.
Yes.
Okay, I agree. I agree with you. I was hoping for a little friction. Okay,
We might on this next one.
late game.
I'm on the Niners.
No, right.
I'm on the Niners.
No way.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, the Niners
I
are
am off
they are
the
a more complete. Everybody's talking about, Purdy's the clock's gonna
Yep,
strike
yep,
midnight
yep.
on the Cinderella. The Niners have a first-team All-Pro player in every meeting room. They have a first-team All-Pro, DB, linebacker, lineman, D-lineman, wide receiver, running back. Their quarterback is not a first-team All-Pro, but playing like one.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners are the most complete team at the moment, and I think the Eagles are a little bit fraudulent.
I think that the
I'm
Niners.
also a Cowboys fan.
I
so.
think the Niners have not faced. I think they are going to be shocked at what Jalen Hurst brings
Okay.
at them.
All right.
And I think they're not going to be able to keep up
This is going to be good.
scoring wise.
I'm glad we got some friction on the second one.
Okay, me
so
too.
I'm
me
on
too.
Chiefs Niners,
I'm on
and you're on
Chiefs,
Chiefs Eagles.
Chiefs Eagles.
It's
Chiefs.
going to be
Even though I want Joey B to win,
yeah.
I would love for Cincy to win. I just in my heart I don't see it.
I agree.
All right. Well, hey, Flipside.
Flipside, you can get all kinds of content.
All
here.
kinds,
You can
all
get-
kinds of content.
You can get your spiritual questions answered. You can get some free counseling.
You can
also get some free advice. On
That's right. Bad football
Yeah, what's
advice.
gonna
All
happen,
right.
yeah.
Well, hey, for the 35 people still watching, we love you, and we'll see you next time on the Flip Side.
Peace.